help you? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I've met you once, man. Like, I don't want you to feel like you have to give me something. He was like, no, but Blaine, I want to help. I want to help the teenagers. And I said, well, we've got T&T coming up. And most of y'all have had kids and have had teenagers. They eat a lot, okay? And they can destroy about 10 pizzas if you give them a chance. And I said, you know what? We're having T&T. That would be really, really nice to be able to, though I don't have to worry about it. Boom, sends it to me. It's encouraging. People looking out for each other. Giving funds, but not only giving funds, and we've talked, and Tim talked about this, it's your time. Your generosity in your time. I don't know if you look around, and I hope you do. There's a lot of things going on here at this church. There's a lot of things happening in God's kingdom, right? Where can you put yourself? Where can you place yourself? Barnabas didn't have to sell his field. He didn't have to give that, but he did it anyways. Why? Because he saw the future. He saw what was happening. He saw the great plan that God was putting in front of us, and he wanted to help in any way that he could. He said, you know what? I got this field, guys. I've worked on it. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to give you the money so that you can continue going out and doing these great things. Second thing Barnabas did, he encouraged through advocacy. You know how long it took me to get that word down? I struggled through that thing. Oh man, I practiced. Okay? But in Acts chapter 9, verses 26 and 27, it's Saul in Jerusalem. And when he had come to Jerusalem, he attempted to join the disciples. This is Saul. And guess what? They were all afraid of him. Right? Yeah. They did not believe that he was a disciple. He did not believe that he was a Christ follower. Because all they knew was what? He was persecuting the Christians. Saul, feared Saul, was persecuting all these Christians. Why would we let him in to our inner circle? There's no way. Get out. We don't want you. You're scary, bad man. No. But here we go. But Barnabas took him and brought him into the apostles and declared to them how on the road he had seen the Lord who spoke to him, and how at Damascus he preached what? Boldly. In the name of who? Jesus. He preached boldly in the name of who? Jesus Christ. Barnabas could have just let them go. Saul, you know what? Paul, we don't need you here, man. Get out. He could have let that happen. But man, aren't we glad he didn't? Aren't we glad he spoke up? Aren't we glad he said something to these apostles? He said, hey, you know what, this Saul guy, I know he was a little scary before that, but let me tell you what he did. On the road, he had seen the Lord. And who spoke to him. God spoke to him. And how at Damascus he preached boldly in the name of Jesus. Is that not encouraging when we stand up for one another? When we look out for the other person, when we see someone needs a second chance at life, we look out for those people? Man, and I could probably answer this. You probably wouldn't be here if somebody gave you a second chance. I wouldn't be here if God hadn't given me a second chance. I wouldn't be here if my parents or my wife or whomever didn't give me a second chance. If I didn't figure it out and have that time, because Saul wouldn't have had the opportunity to do the ministries that he was set out to do by God if Barnabas hadn't have stepped up and given him a second chance. In Acts 15, 36 through 38, Paul and Barnabas separate. And it reads, "And after some days Paul said to Barnabas, 'Let us return and visit the brothers in every city where we proclaim the word of the Lord and see how they are.' Now, Barnabas wanted to take with him John, called Mark, but Paul thought it not best to take him with them, who had withdrawn from them in Pamphylia and had not gone with them to work." So kind of what Paul's talking about here is in Acts 13, John left and returned to Jerusalem. John left him. He just left. So, continue in Acts 15:39 and 40. It says, "And they arose a sharp disagreement. So they separated from each other, and Barnabas took Mark with him and sailed away to Cyprus. But Paul chose Silas and departed, having been commended by the brothers to the grace of the Lord." Now, once again, aren't we so glad that Barnabas took a chance on John Mark? Aren't we so glad that he took a chance on John Mark? The same man who wrote a gospel, the same man that was encouraging, the same man that gave us information about Jesus, the same man that went out of his way to love, because who vouched for him? Barnabas did. Barnabas vouched for him. Barnabas dedicated his life to lifting others up. His life. Just like Eddie Hall does in a completely different way. Right? His life was dedicated to one thing: lifting up. Can we not do the same? Can we not do the same thing? Can we not look out for each other? Can we not speak up when somebody's getting drugged through the dirt? Because I know you see it, because I see it. Can we not give somebody a second chance even though they might have messed up? Guess what? We all mess up. Listen, we are all sinners. We all fall short of the glory of God. But can we not help give second chances? Because who gave us the greatest second chance of all time? It's Jesus himself. I always like to do these challenges in my lessons, in my Bible classes too. I tried to be better about following up with it. But these are the challenges I want to give you. I got 3, okay? I got 3. If you're taking notes, I want you to write these down because I want you to execute them. I want you to execute them because I know you can. Because I'm going to try to this week. First one is identify one practical way to encourage someone this week through generosity. Through generosity. Hey, can I help you take something to the car? Listen, I could help my wife. Hey, Auburn, do you want me to cook dinner tonight? That would help, right? Auburn, go take an hour to yourself. Just go to the bedroom. Take an hour to yourself. Identify one practical way to encourage someone this week through generosity. Second is be a Barnabas to someone facing rejection. Saul was facing rejection. And man, I'm glad Barnabas spoke up. But I want you to think and be generous, and I want you to think about how you can lift someone else that is facing rejection. The third one is consider someone in your life who may need a second chance. Who in your life right now needs a second chance? Now, if you're like me, I give a lot of second chances out. Sometimes a third. Let me rephrase that. Most of the time a third, most of the time a fourth, and sometimes it burns me out. Know when to stop. Know when to dust your boots off and keep moving forward. But do they deserve a second chance? And how can you extend grace and encouragement to them? In John 16:33 that Stephen read for me right before we started, and it said, I have said these things to you. This is Jesus talking. I have said these things to you, that in me you will have what? Peace. In the world you have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. You know who lifts us up more than anybody else? Over temptation, over sin, over corrupt, over evil, Jesus. But take heart, I have overcome the world. He lifted the world up so that we could get to heaven. He did it. I don't have this written down, but I'm going to read it. It's in 1 Thessalonians 5:11. This is the verse I'm going to end with. And I just want you to listen for a second. It reads, "Therefore encourage one another and build each other up just as in fact you are doing." I'll read it one more time. "Therefore encourage one another and build each other up just as in fact you are doing." What can you do, church? What can you do? Barnabas is an incredible example of lifting up. But the better example is Jesus. The strongest man I've ever heard of, read about, experienced. I don't care if he can't lift 1,000 pounds up. He's the strongest man I've ever experienced in my life. And he can lift you up. And this morning, if you need the prayers of the church, and you need to kind of come forward and you've got some things on your heart, you got some things on your mind, and you need some encouragement. Ooh, buddy, I think we got it. I think I can see a lot of people that are ready to give some encouragement today. But my last thing is don't leave it here. Don't leave it here. Leave here and do it. We got it here, but the world needs you. This morning, if you need the prayers of the church, you need to come forward, and we'd love to baptize you this morning. If that's on your heart and you need that encouragement from Jesus, we'd love to do that again this morning as we stand and as we sing.
When